Welcome to News with a View, a Fat Cat production. Today is June 4th, 2025. This is episode 75, 76. We haven't decided how we're going to label the live shows. This is, of course, a live show today. Hopefully, it will be better than yesterday's live show, which gave me a lot of problems. But I fixed it in edit, but left the live ones up there so I can just look at it and go, what did you do wrong? There's switcher problems and a whole bunch of other things that weren't going on. Audio problems that sounded very tinnier than they normally do. A lot of the background noise you hear is the video switchers, fans coming on to cool everything down, and then you will hear the air conditioning come on. Today's show, I'm going to pick up and rehash a little bit on yesterday's show on the police activity that's going on and has gone on in the last couple of weeks, and the uptick, and just some thoughts about it. Nothing, hey, listen, crime is crime. Happens no matter where you are. And it just seems to be a lot of the people that are committing these crimes locally and nationally are like multiple repeat offenders. How can this be? I think we have to really start going after our district attorneys and our police. Not so much the police. The police will capture them, but it's not the police's job to prosecute them. That's totally different. So it's not a policing problem in the sense of a policing problem. It's more of a criminal justice system. The courts, the district attorney, because the district attorney doesn't get involved unless it's a super high-profile case. They have ADAs, assistant district attorneys. You've all watched the TV dramas where they sit in beautiful paneled rooms and discuss everything, and that they're always talking to the same two assistant district attorneys, like in New York, and like that's the only two district attorneys or prosecutors that are in the office. There's 100 of them. It's a joke. It's a joke. Most of these times, the problem is that plea deals are worked out because each side gets a check mark. The cases I'm talking about, excuse me, here in Myrtle Beach and the area proper around it, on April 26th, well, I think it was a little bit before that, there was a shootout on the boulevard on Myrtle Beach, right on the beach. And not on the beach, but right on the main road. And the alleged shooter, the guy that was holding the gun, was shot and killed by a police officer. And the police officer reportedly shot 5 times. And there's a question on whether or not one of those bullets either hit the target, went through it, missed, and hit a young man in the back. And there has been a lot of controversy by a civil rights attorney who said the police officer should be charged because he emptied his gun into a crowd. And that's not, that's not the case. The case is that the police's first the police, their first duty is to suppress the criminal act. And in this case, it was a person shooting into a crowd. The officer shot him. There were a couple of officers that were on the scene too, but didn't shoot. And not knowing the full setup, the only thing I could think of is that the officers were either behind the other officer, which protocol would say you don't shoot because you could shoot your officer, or they did not have a direct line of sight on the suspect in the crowd, but this officer did, shot and killed him. And like I said, there was a lot of people that were upset, mostly the parents of the young man that was shot, who, from what we know, did not partake in the problem that was going on with this individual. From what we know, I mean, he wasn't, part of the problem. This was a fight. Obviously, this kid had, and started shooting up the boulevard. So the police became under the eye of people, because they didn't release the video of the shooting from the police officer's perspective, because it's an officer-involved shooting. The police want to make sure everything is right, and they have their story down. Just like a defendant, the police have a right to their defense and facts. So this was not a lot of hooey. There was a civilian that was shot. It needs to be addressed. But the reports coming out was that a lot of the experts are saying that it was a good shoot, and that people shouldn't be as upset. They should be happy that the incident didn't lead to more than just the alleged shooter being killed. So they're saying they made a good decision in doing that. Now, the other case was the shooting at a marina that resulted in 11 people being injured in gun-related injuries that could be from splintering wood, from bullet fragments, from actually being shot. There was one person who was arrested. He was, I think, a 19-year-old or 20-year-old from Illinois, and he was arrested. They got him. And now a 16-year-old who has been arrested as part of the incident. So they're working on that. I don't know the full story on what had happened with that particular shooting, what the problem was or motivation behind it. That's Shawan Williams was arrested, and then a 16-year-old later on was arrested. So in another high-profile, there was a high-profile case, incident of 4 young men wearing masks who robbed a car, who hijacked a car and then proceeded to shoot at police while driving. And there was no one injured. The car was wrecked. The suspects were caught. 2 of the 4 suspects were released. And the 2 other suspects were in jail, and the shooter was not able to post bond. The fact that they would even allow them to even come up with a bond, even if it was $1 million, it was ridiculous. Obviously, this kid didn't care about anything, and obviously he has been a naughty, naughty little boy in the past. And that seems to be the common theme with a lot of these incidents, that these are no strangers to the criminal justice system. And again, it's not the police. The police do not prosecute. It is the courts. And we have a problem with our courts. And we have a problem with the courts, in my opinion, due to the fact that people don't want to be called racist. Now, is it racist to arrest a white person doing a crime? Is it racist to arrest a black person committing a crime? A Chinese, Japanese, Mexican, whatever. The justice has blinds, a little blindfold over it, so it can't, or it shouldn't, have a preconceived, a bias on what they're doing. They're holding the little scales of justice there with a blindfold on. And you could say, well, in the 1920s and 1950s and yeah, you could say that there was a lot of, hurry up and find them guilty so we can hang them. And no doubt about that had happened, and that has always happened. But in the latter years now, there's been a lot of remedies for that. There are people in jail who are innocent. There have been people that have been put to death in the last 10 years that I believe were innocent. Is the system perfect? Nope. Can the system ever be perfect? It depends. There could be a way. You wouldn't be happy about it, and you'd have to change all the laws, but there is a way. The other case that has just come up was a little bit further from this area, but not that far, because the defendants in the case are all from this area. But the 4 defendants have been charged with murder of a pair of teenagers in a drug deal gone bad. And again, some of these people have been in the system. Not that the police or anyone else or the DA or would have known that they would have gone and killed. But again, illegal activity is a gateway into other illegal activities. These 4 people that are charged with murder, they'll be locked up for a long, 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 long time in this state. And I doubt if they'll be charged, as a capital crime type of thing with a death penalty or something. But they'll be gone a long, long time. Don't come to South Carolina and think you're going to commit a crime. Don't do that. Stay in North Carolina, where a lot of these people have been coming over here and committing crimes. But you better stay there, because they will catch you or they'll shoot you here. They don't mess around. You don't hear any bars around here being held up. And even convenience stores. The only ones that do get robbed are the ones that advertise. We don't allow our employees to arm themselves, and if you get robbed, just give the robber what they want. Those are the ones that get robbed, because the only one that's going to shoot at them are the cops. So they're already in front of the curve. And I always like the idea that, you have to assume everyone is armed to the teeth and just looking for an excuse to be Clint Eastwood. So that is some more news there. Myrtle Beach officer acted accordingly, says expert. So they're saying that the officer had about 1 second to make a reaction call, and he made the right call. Now, of course, there's questions on that Myrtle Beach shooting on the boulevard as to whether or not a sixth bullet came from somewhere. But that's, like I said, that's easy to figure out that it's not the police, because you have to start off with X amount of bullets, and everyone involved in an officer-related shooting, their weapons are counted. They're accounted for, as well as their ammunition. You start your shift with 50 bullets, and you end your shift with 50 bullets. And you're not allowed to carry extra undocumented. You can in your car. I mean, they can. They carry extra ammo with them, and that's all accounted for. The police shows that show the cop with a what's called a lay down weapon or a throw down, or taking a knife out and putting it down. I mean, I'm sure that has happened, but nowadays, not so much. And that's not really the case here. The case here was, there someone else in the crowd that shot. They don't know. Everything happened so fast. So they're going and they're looking at videos, and they want to make sure. And they say they heard a sixth shot. And again, the bullet that struck this young man in the back, was it one of the 5 bullets that might have penetrated? Was it one of the 5 bullets that went astray? Yeah, I mean, these are all legitimate questions to ask. But to say the officer just randomly shot into a crowd by this one civil rights lawyer, no, sorry. And like I said, 16-year-old boy jailed in Little River Party boat mass shooting. So with that, we went over that real quick. And I'm just looking to my side here to make sure I am still live, because sometimes Yahoo and Facebook that we are on simultaneously sometimes fail. And now, for the rest of the story, now we're going to talk about some national media stories. One of them, just so you know, so you understand, the Trump administration, not Donald Trump. You know, when they go, Trump is being sued. No, it's his administration that's being sued. They have 200, I think at the last count, like 208 lawsuits out against them. Suits filed by organizations, individuals, objecting to the legality of executive orders that Trump has been signing. One of the interesting ones is one filed by NPR. That's, National Public Radio, who gets a lot of money from the United States government. And Trump has said that he is going to suspend that. Which I as long as Congress hasn't approved it yet, yeah, he can go. He ain't getting it. Now, Congress can vote on it and override Trump. And back and forth, they can play the game. That's not going to happen. So what NPR did is they sued the Trump administration executive order on the grounds that it violates the First Amendment protection of speech and association and freedom of the press. Now, this is why this case will be lost by NPR. They received money from public donations. And no one is telling NPR to limit their speech or to stop speaking or to only say what we're going to write and give you. No one is saying that. What the government is saying that is, we're not going to pay for it. And they don't have to. And the government can prove that they're not being, they're just stopping their funding of it. People can fund it all they want, and they could say whatever they want on the news, as long as it's truthful. And, it's not libelous, and, they can say what they want and then face the consequences. But no one is stopping them. It's me about NPR and PBS and these other ones is the fact that I know with PBS, you can't watch certain programs that you don't pay for. Meaning you have to give a donation to be able to watch a particular program. Now, I do know this, that PBS and a lot of these ones, if the money is donated for X show, that money has to be used for that show. And not for, building a building over here or doing something else or It has to be used for that show. They can't play games with it, and they are regulated and they are looked at. There has been problems in the past, but whenever you have money passing through hands and donations into a charity like that, and it's not a charity. PBS is not a charity, and NPR is not a charity. But you have problems where commingling of monies. So they're saying that this is a constitutional issue, and it really is not a constitutional issue, because the administration is saying, say what you want. You want to stand in front of a camera? Say what you want. We're just not going to fund you. And whether or not we agree with you or not, we're not giving you money. And they're going to turn around and we'll show you that we've never agreed with you. And yet you gave us money. And they go, yeah. Just like I could take a child's allowance away. Now, you can go to Congress and ask them for money, and if Congress gives you money, all right. But as far as me giving you money through any powers that I have to stop it, I'm stopping it. Nothing to do with limiting you. You can still say whatever you want to say, just not on my dime. And this is why they're going to lose this case. And they know it. They're just throwing it up there. They're just throwing all these, except there's a few ones where they have legitimate concerns with. And I say this again, I am not locked in step with this administration or any administration. There are things that I agree with Donald Trump with. There were things that I disagreed with the Biden administration. There were things that I agreed with the Biden administration. And there are things that I agree with the Trump administration. Again, I'm a federalist. If the president is allowed to do it through the Constitution, unless he's limited by law, in this case, he be the man. And as long as those orders don't go against the Constitution and they follow the laws, he's on solid ground. And the same thing with the firing of people inside the executive branch. He can do it, folks. And you could scream and yell. There are some things inside collective bargaining that I disagree with the administration on, where they're going after unions and things like just wiping out collective bargaining agreements. I have a concern with. I understand within the context of the federal government, they are allowed to cancel a contract for whatever reason, including convenience. Now, a collective bargaining agreement is a little bit different than, let's say, a government contract for an airplane. If the cost overruns, or if they're not performing, or that there's problems, hey, we've been waiting 5 years for this, And yeah, it's a cost plus contract, but not going on forever here, and they can cancel it. But a collective bargaining agreement had certain terms, and just like you as an individual can surrender a certain amount of your constitutionally protected freedoms. Just like if you were at work and you just started screaming, whatever, and say, it's my right, I have freedom of speech. Yeah, you could say it. Go ahead. The consequences for you saying it is you're fired. Because you can't do that here at work. You could do that out on the sidewalk, not on our property. But you can't say it at work. And, so when people go, oh, freedom of speech, and it's kind of limited. And that's what's going to happen here. You're kind of limited. And you can't make that argument. That argument will not stay. It will not stick. And all they're trying to do is fight it. And this way, they go on record as fighting it. But 208, I think when I counted last, 208 active filed suits against the Trump administration. And the NPR is a nonpartisan news organization that adheres to and upholds the highest standards of public service and journalism and ensures the integrity of its reporting through multiple rigorous safeguards. Yeah, great. No one is saying you don't. We're just not going to give you funding. So you have a good day. You have a good day. They ain't going to win that one, folks. That was Donald Trump calling me, telling me I'm absolutely correct. Yeah, what a smart guy, that News with the View. What a smart guy. So, the other thing that was in the news, and they've been touting this for a couple of weeks, Elon Musk warns excessive spending will plunge U.S. into debt slavery. And, he's fighting with Trump, and he's out, and Elon Musk was, fired. No, Elon Musk was not fired. He was only supposed to stay on for X amount of days, and that's exactly what he did. Now, Trump could have released him and then hired him back for another 90 days. But Elon Musk has stated he wanted to go back to his businesses and needs his help. And thank you for your services. That's all. But Elon Musk, problem with the Big Beautiful Deal, the Big Beautiful Bill Act of Donald Trump, is that he feels it doesn't go deep enough. It isn't that he disagrees it doesn't mean he disagrees or he's at odds with Donald Trump over this. Donald Trump, in his bill that he's looking at and asking for it to get passed by the Senate, has fat in it. There is fat in it. And Musk says, no, cut that fat out. Just take it out. And, any more debt that we go into, it's going to now go up to like $36 trillion, is excessive. And so you, the general public at large, understand the cost for America to pay this debt, because we have to borrow money and people get paid. It isn't like, the only one that's signing the IOU is the government to everyone else, borrowers and investors. And that debt is costing us $3 billion a day in interest. Billion. In 28 days, that would be enough to give every American health care coverage. And I mean almost full health care coverage. You need a new heart, kidney, we are just burning money. And Elon Musk, being an uber business person, he's a long-term thinker, where President Trump is a short-term thinker. And that's just business strategy. Trump will get something in and, $30 million, and 6 months later he could sell it for $60 million. Hey, I just made $30 million. Where Musk says, I'll take that $30 million, I'll invest it into it, I'll take my highs and lows, but I know in 10 years that will be $200 million or $200 billion. I just got to stick with it. And if I put my name behind it, my brand, and push it and work out all the kinks, it will be successful. So he just has a different way of thinking, where I look at it kind of like you can't have that type of debt. If 25% of all your spending is just to pay interest, you're living way above your means. Something's got to give. And the problem that the government always had was that you could print your own money. So you raise taxes, fees, you cut services and get money back. It's a self-making machine. There is no product. There is no product. Government makes no product. So, Musk is saying that it just needs to be cut more. And there are people inside the Senate that's saying the same thing. But this isn't a departure of Musk, and going, I'm parting ways. It's just a general, I disagree with you. It's not deep enough. There's a lot of money out there. There's, that I could find, but, or I showed you that you can cut, and you can cut a lot of these programs. So. It is an interesting turn, but it's not anything that, like when the White House was asked about this, they go, yeah, the president knows how Elon Musk feels, and Elon Musk knows how the president feels. So, yeah, all right. Now, the Senate approves it. Or doesn't approve it. So, all right. The other little tidbit, again, is CNN. Tapper rips media smear campaign against her. Wall Street Journal report on Biden's decline without mentioning his own network. So they have CNN, and it's not CNN, it's Tapper. And everyone is saying we didn't know that Biden had all these problems. And of course, everyone saw it. There was something that Kimmel and Colbert and Jimmy Fallon, they're all silent now. They're not coming out and saying anything, more about this because they knew and kept calling it a lie. And, they'll have plausible deniability. They'll go, hey, I'm a comedian. I saw on TV, I didn't see, I didn't think that mistake was anything that was more than just a flub. And, Trump seeing people or wanting to know people that he knew were dead. And, that wasn't a problem. That happens. So everyone kind of knew what was going on. And the media, and for whatever the reason, and we know what the reason is, they were siding with the liberals. They were siding with being able to have access and be able to run news stories and get information that would fill the eyeballs on the screen. And they pressured advertisers, the organizations that went out and said, we're going to protest in front of Coke, we're going to protest in front of these people. They were professional protesters, paid protesters. And these companies folded because they just didn't want the bad press. Where are these protesters today? Why aren't they in front of Coca-Cola saying, well, Coca-Cola is sold in Israel. They're making money from them. Coca-Cola is sold by China. Coca-Cola is sold by them. You don't see any of these people today. Where's the 3,000 that show up in front of Walt Disney World? We're not going to support DEI anymore. And all of a sudden, all these people just decided, yeah, well, we lost. Or, yeah, maybe, DEI was bad. Or, gee, I don't know. You ever have a Coke? It's delicious. Yeah. Well, what happened to these people? What happened to all the buses that would take these people around? What happened to all that? You can't do those type of things unless you have a plan and an organization and money behind that. Can't do it. And you could scream Soros and his money and things like that. It's absolutely more to it than that. Absolutely more to it. And America was lied to with Biden. gaslight. You were gaslighted. And, you could come out, well, Trump makes mistakes. No, this wasn't. When you had the president shut down any contact with him for days, and, by 11 o'clock in the morning, that was it. He's done. Not doing any more today, folks. A press conference? Nah, he's going to go out and give a little talk while walking out to the helicopter. And, if you got more than a 15-second snippet of anything he was talking about, and unless it was wildly necessary for him to give some type of major speech, you knew that they were giving him some type of, brain juice to get him through it. And I am so thankful that he was forced to get up there and debate Donald Trump, because the lies would have continued, and now his cancer would have come out. Now Harris would be president, and she'd put in, Stacey Abrams as the vice president or something. I mean, crazy. And we would have been lied to. This is the very, very aggressive form that formed over. No, prostate cancer is hardly a progressive. If it's advanced and it's found out, before any testing, yeah, you could be like, Frank Zappa and some of these other people that, they died from prostate cancer, relatively quickly, because it was found so late and it already metastasized. But for, a 70-year-old or 80-year-old guy to be found to have prostate cancer, yeah, but we're a guy. We're all going to get prostate cancer. We live long enough. But my doctor has a routine test once a year, and if I had any problems, he'd do it, ahead of time. And even without it, you get the old finger test. And sent on your way. So the idea that no one knew that this was, when you read his health report, there was no new things that they needed to look at. It didn't say anything about the old stuff, just no new items. And then they listed some of the, and here are some of the, but not all of them. And no one asked, but there were people that were asking. They were told, oh, you can't ask him that. It's all there. You could read the report. If you can't read, ask someone to read it to you. I'm not here to read it to you. There it is. Have at it. But you couldn't get access to any of these people. They'd shut stuff down, and that was it. I mean, we were lied to. Lied to. We were hoodwinked. And now books are coming out, and there'll be more books coming out. And believe me, there'll be books coming out on Trump. I mean, you don't think that there's not going to be a bunch of books on Trump coming out? By, by insiders. Probably Trump's writing his own book. Who couldn't use an extra 10, 20, $30 million? How much is CBS going to give me? Yeah, it's wonderful. It's great. you have a president that is defining what executive power is in the executive branch. And this is not going to be a definition just for Donald Trump. This will be a definition for all the future presidents, as long as the, Constitution and laws don't change. The big thing that they're all screaming about is the auto pen. And, who controlled the auto pen? And, I mean, everyone knew about it. But most presidents used the auto pen for, signing 16 of the orders, and, each, there were 15 of them that went to individuals, in their little book and stuff they handed to them. And the one executive order was actually signed by the president. That's how it was done. Did it have to be done that way? I don't know. I don't know what it says. The auto pen has been, I think, classified as the signature of the president in the case of his pen. I mean, is the pen always in the top pocket of the president? Does he have to personally sign a piece of paper that says, I'm authorizing the use of the auto pen for this legislative bill or whatever? I would think that they want some type of, initial here, and here. Don't know how that works or how that is going to work. And I just looked over and I realized I never recorded this for my own editing. So now I'm going to have to figure out how to grab it from YouTube and bring it over, but I might not even bother with it since it's a live show. Let's see, anything else here? Not so much. A lot of stuff going on today. That will be interesting. The tariffs. I believe that in the end Trump will win that case. Though I can lean either way. It is that close of understanding what every word means in Trading with the Enemy Act. It is very broad, and I think that. Personally, in my own personal opinion, is that would he had come out and says, I'm doing this with China, doing this with Russia, doing this with these countries who have been historically our adversaries, not in our lifetime, but they have been. Yeah, you can do that. But, Canada, I can understand maybe Mexico because of their drugs and allowing people to use their nation as a springboard to get in here. All right. You could treat them a little rough. Australia. So If you look at their tariff laws, they're not friendly towards us. It isn't like, hey, come on, we're friends. And Trump has said it. Well, friends don't treat friends like this. And then turn around and goes, well, okay, it's business. Trump goes, yeah, that's right. It's business. If something happens to you, we're going to be right there with you, buddy. But, I'm not giving you my brand new Ford, my or Escalade, a Cadillac Escalade, and just give it to you. Yeah, you're going to pay value for it. Just like, you send us stuff, tagging it, and we're giving stuff and you're putting extra tags on it. If you want to have free trade, love to have free trade. And they go, oh, no, we like getting that money from you. Well, there you go. We went and allowed everything to be made outside under the guise that it's cheaper. And it was cheaper. But that money never came back. That money never came back. In certain things, it did come back. They bought Caterpillar trucks. They bought Boeing airplanes. They bought, Fords. But now you have a world order out there that's building their own. We don't need to go to you. So that money did not necessarily come back to us. So you need some new thinking. All right. With today's show, I will try to edit this up, figure out how to get it. Shouldn't be hard. Never did it before because this is probably the fourth time I've gone live. Even though you see some little 15 minutes or 2 minutes or 12 minutes. And that's just me testing stuff that I haven't gone back onto my page yet to go, yeah, delete forever. But we'll be doing that this afternoon. All right, with that, I'm going to say good night, because this won't go up until the evening on my regular channel. Say a prayer. I'm big with prayers. Give to a charity if you're capable. Charity does begin at home. Just make sure it's a reputable charity. And you go to that charity. Don't have that charity come to you. Don't become a victim helping a victim. If you can, give to a food bank. 4 cans a week. Mix it up. If we had 500 extra people give 4 cans a week to various local food banks, that's 2,000 cans. You could be helping so many people. And you have to look at it too. Well, if I spend $7 doing that, buying cans, SpaghettiOs, healthy stuff too, but food that people can eat, that's $7. Not going to change my life. But food for some people will change their lives. And that's important. You got to look at the ripple effect. Or as they used to say, the butterfly effect. But you got to look at that. Because it does have an effect. So, with that, I'm going to now say good night. I don't know if Danielle, Paul, or Chris or Rowan are going to see this tonight. Maybe. Cannoli. That's their parrot. Um, Good night, and we'll catch you tomorrow's Thursday. We might do a show, but it's not going to be live tomorrow. Definitely Friday afternoon, and then after next week, there'll be no show for the next after Friday. There'll be no show for about 9 days. Unless something really wacky happens or there's, really some breaking things. I'm just going to be way too busy taking care of things. And even if there's breaking stuff coming out, I don't know if I'll be capable of doing it. So, but I know after the 14th or 15th that I'll be back. So. All right, everyone, as I fade to, no, I might not fade to black. I might just go right to my color bars and then fade to black.